we've got to kick things off with, I think it's probably one of the more famous results in Canadian soccer history. Vancouver just stomping all over Inter Miami, not for the first time, but the second time in less than a week to advance to the Concacaf Champions Cup final. Craig, I listened to your show yesterday. It was actually a really great show, great in-depth analysis of what to expect. And you all pretty much nailed what we're going to see, except for the results. You all had Miami winning this, but
No.
no, you had a draw, didn't you?
No, I had Whitecaps 2-1.
Did you really?
I did. So I still didn't nail it. I didn't get the score right, but I predicted Vancouver would go in there and get the win.
Yeah. Well,
you were right.
What
I had 3-1 scoreline, just the other way around.
Yeah, so
Vancouver advancing on away goals.
That's the opposite of what happened.
Didn't need that.
Listen, was anyone surprised by how it unfolded? I mean, the space afforded to Inter Miami to start the match was a grave concern. But then suddenly they seemed a little bit desperate, and then the spaces opened up for Vancouver.
The way they dealt with that early goal was the 9th minute. That was a bit worrying, concerning for sure. I was a little bit worried about how things were going to unfold, but they managed to weather that and had their chances. Then hit the post, and I was like, oh, they had a few chances. I was like, they should bury those away chances, and that away goal was always going to be big. But the second half was completely different. It was just mesmerizing stuff by Vancouver, finishing and set up, and the way they played them, I thought was just absolutely fantastic. I can't really believe what we're watching here, really.
No, it's pretty remarkable. I agree with you both that I was concerned, especially Forrest, you nailed it. You talked about the central free kicks and how deep Vancouver's line was, and then what that afforded Miami on knockdowns and opportunities being just that much closer to goal, but also the space that Messi he himself was given in between the lines, just floating in there. And you saw it on that first goal where Messi's hanging out. He's kind of floating on the left-hand side, just waiting for that opportunity to drift into that pocket. And Segovia takes the back line, and the entirety of the back line drops towards the 6. And then Messi just gets in there, gets that pass to feet. And then that is how the first goal is orchestrated and engineered. And I was like, oh boy, this is not good. And then you saw it also with the way that, say, in the middle third, Vancouver was set up, where Sabby, who you alluded to, the great opportunity that he had with that square ball from White on the left-hand side on a break, but defensively, he was late to pressure. But the entirety of that top of their front line in terms of pressure was late. Like they just weren't on it. They weren't, I think, together on it and not sharp enough so that it left them exposed for a direct long ball in behind. So I was like, oh, this is too loose defensively. They're not as organized in their shape and their structure, and Inter Miami is going to pick them apart. But credit to the team and their mindset, their mentality, the coaching, the way that they're prepared, and also just the belief I think that they have in that locker room, that they come out for the second half. And I thought Ali Ahmed was so lively and so bright on that left flank, because you look at the ensuing goals that they got, and they all came from runs and him cutting inside and that little slip pass to Berhalter. And I mean, yes, they got some fortuitous bounces, but I mean, they were still driving at them and testing them and creating those spaces by dragging the Inter Miami defenders out of position. So I agree with you, Forrest. It's so impressive the way that they continue to do it. That was a weird sentence, but you know what I mean? Like they're able to get to this final and imagine again, like you just talked about how brilliant BC Place was. They might get the fucking final at BC Place. Like how cool would that be?
We need a draw between the two Mexican sides, right?
Yeah. Ooh, well, that's unprofessional. That's my phone ringing.
It's not Jesus. Jimmy's mum for once.
It better not be, Jimmy.
Imagine she's calling Charms. Wait a minute, Mrs. Brennan. What's happening here?
Yeah.
Can I get a few of those pies, please, son?
No, but I mean, stop it. No, but what I found impressive, and I shouldn't be surprised because we saw the same thing in the first leg, but you can understand some of these younger players, looking at this Miami team and being awestruck by it. and they just weren't. Tay Johnson again. Like, I mean, he looks like he's 12 years old, this kid. And he is being, what's his name? Busquets was trying to bully him,
Did you see that on the corner kick?
Yeah, it wasn't. And did the kid back down? No. He probably doesn't remember Busquets playing, in fairness, because he was probably 3
That's
when
true.
Busquets was relevant.
That's right.
Yeah.
But what a performance again. And I mean, Berhalter, I think he was man of the match, wasn't he? And he should be. Jimmy, you said yesterday how Brian White should walk into that US team. Well, so should Berhalter at this point. He's been fantastic all year, and again last night just didn't back down and provided everything.
Yeah, I think the way that he's playing right now is remarkable. Just the confidence that he's playing with, and you could see he just makes a difference when he's out in the pitch. And it's funny because I think every footballer kind of goes through that where you have your highs and your lows, and things aren't going well, but then all of a sudden you start getting into this rhythm, and you get this sense of belief and this confidence that comes into your play, and where you just kind of feel unstoppable and everything's just going right for you. And that's where Berhalter is right now for me. He's just enjoying his football. He's playing with a smile on his face, and he's loving it. And it's great to see. And he deserves to be in the national team. I would take him 100% over anybody else at the moment.
There's a maturity in his performance as well, because I don't think he had a particularly great first half. And then the fact that collectively they grew into the game, they did what they had to do when it mattered, but Berhalter himself as an individual, the way that he rose to the occasion, that's what this Whitecaps team keeps doing. But like Brian White, or actually Tate Johnson first, like Sharms, you talked about him being manhandled and trying to get provoked and egged on and perhaps getting a second yellow on the day by Busquets. But he's also, if you go back and you look at the highlights, he's being absolutely like crushed into the back of the net by Suarez and Segovia trying to grab the ball to bring it back after they scored that opener in the 9th minute. He's the one who's getting manhandled in there. So like they kept their composure, they kept their heads. And then Brian White, like he just keeps doing this over and over again. But on that goal, like, I mean, I think he slightly mishits it, where they get that coveted, that critical away goal. And he hits it with his left foot, but his movement, so he gets in, the ball gets taken to the byline, and the back line goes with him, and then he just pops right back out of the 6 to receive it. Like, so his just such clever movement in the box, whether he's trying to get on the end of it with his head or with his foot, he just finds those soft spaces. I mean, it's a very hockey term, but he does it. He just kind of drifts around, and he's on the shoulder of the defender, and he just is always available in the box for whether it's an Ahmed or whether it's Berhalter coming in, or it's across from the other side, whether it's Rios or Sabi, like the previous games, like he's just always available and a target and sought after on those crosses.
What was the soft spaces again? What does that mean?
Between my chest and my ass.
Is it really a hockey term?
I think it's more of a hockey term than it is a soccer term. It's just like finding space in the slot, like you find,
like pocket.
A mushy middle kind of thing in midfield,
pocket,
right?
for sure. Yeah,
pocket. There you go. That would be the soccer comparison, in the pocket. But I think it works regardless, Dubs. I said before that this was one of the more famous results. I mean, I think I've actually done a massive disservice to Vancouver there. This might be top 3 club football.
Top 3, of course. Well, it's top 3. Yeah,
I'm going through them, right? So you have the soccer bowl. I'm going way back, right? That's just over everything, right? I think TFC winning a championship. I mean, I get why Vancouver fans would dispute that, but winning a championship is something pretty special, right? This is a semi-final, so I wouldn't put it number 1, but I could see it very much 2 or 3. And listen, soccer ball is way before my time. Right? I was born, but I wasn't living over it. I have no recollection of it. I have no idea how big that was at the time. So you can please fill in some color there, but it's I don't know.
I remember it well, unfortunately. and there were some comparisons to the semifinal against the New York Cosmos. Beating the New York Cosmos, they wanted, the league wanted it, they needed it. The North American Soccer League at that time was starting to struggle a little bit. They wanted that exposure with the Cosmos, and then the Vancouver Whitecaps ended up winning on a shootout. Remember the old shootout? and the Cosmos, I can't remember the player, but he didn't get the shot off in 5 seconds, and the referees were talking about it. Obviously, no VAR.
Yeah.
Vancouver's going to get screwed here. They don't want Vancouver in the final against Tampa Bay Rowdies at the time. And anyway, they did the right thing and they got the right result. And the rest is history, beating Tampa Bay in the final, which was just spectacular. And there was 100,000 or more in the city of Vancouver for the parade. It was a big, big occasion for them. But quite honestly, for the magnitude of what they're doing right now, if they can pull off this final and win this thing that is rare for MLS teams, would be spectacular. And it'll be a big night if they can have it in Vancouver. I remember the Montreal game, Dubs, going up to watch them play against Club America. That place was absolutely on fire, and it was one of the best footballing experiences I ever had, and hopefully it'll be equaled by Vancouver in the final.
Jimmy, I thought you were leaning in to say something there.
No, I was. I mean, if they win the Champions Cup, that's got to be the club's biggest achievement, would it not?
Canadian club, I think that would be number one.
For
Yeah,
sure.
Bringing the Mexicans into it, absolutely.
Yeah. But right now, where would you put it, Dubs?
I think you made the point that it's into a final. They've not won anything yet. So I'm not as well versed in the Vancouver Whitecaps history or the lore as Craig Forrest or as all of you guys, but I would have to say it's up there, just the way that they've run the table. And I was listening to our friend David Goss over on SoccerWise speaking to Tom Bogert, and they were saying that this is MLS a little bit, maybe proving themselves, that you've got two teams in the Whitecaps and Inter Miami who are running the table league-wide, but they're also able to run it in Concacaf Champions Cup. Like, they're able to put together those performances much the way, your class tier 1 setups, when you think about big clubs worldwide, are able to do it year in and year out, that they're always in that conversation for winning a league. But, you're talking about, can they win the treble? Can they win a couple of trophies in addition? So whether it's the FA Cup or the Carabao Cup or a Copa del Rey, whatever you're talking about, that it's league and you're in the conversation, you're dominating, you're in that top 3 or 4, but you're also able to dictate the way things are going in these cup competitions. And these are two giants. I think Inter Miami is one where I was a little bit concerned because the league would probably want to see Inter Miami go through. And I'm not saying there would be funny business with the officiating, but I was happy to see that the game just sort of played itself out. But Vancouver now, I mean, on everybody's radar with what they're doing, not only in MLS, Supporters Shield leaders right now, top of the West, but then also running the show in CONCACAF Champions Cup. So that's good to see, and I think it's good for MLS.
Massive.
Treble. Can we talk treble? Is it too? I know you mentioned it yesterday. I mentioned it, actually. I beat you to the punch. I mentioned it on Sportsnet about 3 weeks ago.
Oh, sorry, Sharps.
Yeah, so in your face, Dubs, for trying to be it was one of those crazy predictions, wild predictions or something. Like, why not? Why not? At the time, they're playing so well. They still are, and now they're in the final. So, what? It's never too early to talk treble. What the hell? Let's go treble. I mean, Christ, the Canadian Championship, the strongest team there. I don't think we'll put a lay a glove on Vancouver right now, and we'll get to that very shortly. But what do you think, Jimmy, was going through Don Garber's mind late in that game when he saw the dream come crashing down once again?
I don't think he was too worried after seeing 50,000 people in Vancouver, realizing that the fan support is there. So if they do make it to the football, they did make it to the final. But if the final was actually held in Vancouver, then I don't think there'd be any issues going through Don Garber's head at the moment. No chance. I think he'd be delighted that at least that they've got great fan support. They've got a good brand of football. And I think more than anything, he doesn't care as long as an MLS team wins it.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that because the league is in such a good spot right now. It's not like they're fighting for survival and they need this exposure. They need the best team in MLS and that's Vancouver at this moment.
Yeah.
To give themselves a chance to do it for MLS. So he'll be right behind Vancouver. I have no doubts about that.
And they did it in resounding fashion. Oh, sorry, Jimmy.
Sorry, Dubs. I was just going to say, it's a team that hasn't bought success.
Yeah.
Right? It's just a working men's team. Good bunch of guys that get their heads down, are all in sync, playing a good brand of football.
And if anyone would have said they would have beaten Inter Miami in that tie across 2 legs, 5-1. Would you have believed them?
No.
Like, that is an emphatic, like, resounding, convincing victory over a
Apparently
juggernaut.
it never happened to Messi before, where a team has won their first 2 legs against Messi. But gotta say, a couple of those boys for Miami looked old.
Speaking of 2
They
legs,
did.
Suarez's look like they're pretty old. Lost a step or 2,
He
hey?
hasn't got 2 legs anymore, I don't think.
Yeah.
He'll just score the 20 this year in the MLS.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's still got the finishing, but he looks a little bit like he's playing in a charity match sometimes, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Like he's carrying a little bit of extra weight. Just
definitely
things
not as
aren't
lean as he
happening
once was.
quite as quickly. He's still
Yeah.
got the quality, but the time to execute what he's doing isn't quite there anymore, I think.
He's
He
still
just
got
runs from the knees down.
What's that?
He runs from the knees down.
That's right. There's very little hip movement.
Yeah.
He's getting that andropause girth. Maybe
Yeah.
not quite
I
yet.
thought he was going to have a little nibble last night. I wasn't sure.
He wasn't happy. He wasn't happy at all.
Yeah.
By the way, I mean,
Close. He had a couple of great occasions where it just went right across the face of goal, looking for that
Mhm.
low far corner.
Yeah.
I get what you guys are saying, and you're right. MLS will be, it's a great success story for MLS if they go all the way, and the way they've been built as well. I get that, but they wanted Messi there.
Mhm.
They really want to have a shot of Messi.
Miami's going to the Club World Cup anyway.
Mhm.
So they got them. They've managed to manufacture a way to get them there. So they're there now.
Did you see we got
No,
fact
that.
checked? I didn't know this, but if Vancouver or the winner of the Concacaf Champions Cup will get a berth to the Club World Cup next go. Obviously not for this summer's.
Not this summer.
That wouldn't make sense. So it's 2028 or something, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
But
it's not every year.
all this done with the quiet confidence of a Jesper Sorensen, who comes out again looking like Mowgli from the Jungle Book, where he's got a closet full of ecru and beige and bone. Like,
I
he's
did
not
question that at first. Did he question that
flashy.
at first? No, he's not, because Mascherano looked like a proper sexy manager, didn't he? Kind of in the Pep style. And then it's
Mhm.
like there's Safari Joe beside him.
That's right. He's like,
Freaking brilliant manager.
I'm going to imbue confidence into my squad with taupe.
Wasn't it? It was Gianni Infantino. Wasn't he wearing the taupe and
For the
Victor
draw, I
put us
think.
like, yeah, for the draw. So maybe he's
Mhm.
taking. It looks a little bit like Gianni. If you shave Jesper Sorensen down, you might have Gianni Infantino.
That is such a good call. We need to do a looky-likey.
We do a little looky-likey.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had to get him on the show. We had to have him on the show. I'm going to put out the call today to get Jesper Sorensen on the show, who will be the most popular guest right now, I think, across all Canadian soccer podcasts, all 3 of them.
Mhm.
And yeah, let's get him on, because what a story he's been so far. It's been just fantastic.
It'd be like the bat signal, but a beige silhouette in the sky.
Yeah.
So, that's really bland.
It's kind of overcast today. Oh no, we need Jesper.
It's the beige signal. Send the beige signal up.
It'd be great to have him on point, just as a human interest story. I mean, not a lot of people know much about him. He just showed up 5 minutes ago, and he's just on fire.
Yeah.
He's been transformative, right? We knew that they had
you can't deny
pieces,
that.
and Vanny was beloved, but they needed something, and he's done it. Like he's motivated them, but he's playing a system. I think that everybody they're drinking the Kool-Aid, but is pulling the best out of all of those players.
Yeah, they've all risen their game. Like it's spectacular.
Mhm.